Welcome back to Reliving Retro. This is Season 4, Episode 10, and we played Super Mario World this week, so it's a pretty big one. And if you're new here, we pick one game at random and invite a guest on to rate it in 5 different categories: story, gameplay, visuals, sound, and aged. And we have a very special guest on this week, and I'll let him introduce himself. Go ahead, man.
Hi, I'm Lithium. Hey, Nintendo fans and collectors. Lithium here for my channel. Nintendo Collecting is usually my sign on. So how's it going, everyone? Thanks for having me on.
Of course, man. Thank you so much for coming on. Like I said before we started recording, to me, you're one of the YouTube OGs, and I know that you were like, oh, man, I feel like that ages me a little bit or dates me, right? But I think I might have followed you maybe 10 or 11 years ago or something like that. So it's a pleasure to have you on. It's awesome to talk with you, and let's get to know you a little bit, maybe some of your gaming habits. So what would you say your introduction to gaming was? Maybe your first console, how you got it, how old you were, that kind of thing.
I actually started on Sega Genesis. I was a Genesis kid growing up. Sonic was my thing.
Swerve.
Wow. I know. My best friends, they had an NES, and I always went over there and played like Mario 3, and it blew my mind, and I always wanted to play it. And then my cousins, eventually they had an N64. And that was it for me. So I would be in their basement or be in their like room for hours. And eventually in like 1998, I bought my own N64, and then I never looked back, and it was like Nintendo ever since.
Awesome. So what would you say some of your favorite types of games, like favorite genres of games to play are?
I really like platformers, especially platformers with multiplayer. I find like they can be a blast if you're couch gaming, couch co-op.
Yep.
And then I do like some RPGs, and I do like adventure action games. Like I love Legend of Zelda. The sequel's coming out. Very excited for Breath of the Wild 2, Tears of the Kingdom. Those kinds of games are what I'm into. Don't play a lot of online gaming. Rather play couch co-op.
Yeah, that makes sense. Are you into like the Smash Brothers scene at all, or is that just something like you do when friends come over?
Very little, actually. I'm not great at Smash Brothers. I'll be one of those cheap characters using the same attack. I'll pick Marth and just stand in the middle of everyone and use counter and just be that guy. So Smash Brothers, I'm not that great at, but Mario Kart, I'm much better at, and I play that actually frequently. There was an update for Mario Kart 8 that just came out with more courses. That I play a lot with my wife, and we game online with friends. But
I heard they're adding characters.
They added Birdo, and according to the picture, there's 5 more slots for 5 more characters. So as much as we always try and think about who's going to be next in Smash Brothers, people should be doing that for Mario Kart, because we got, I think, 5 more left.
That's awesome. Nice. That's pretty exciting. What would you say your favorite party game is? Is it Mario Kart for you?
Mario Kart's a blast, but Mario Party 2 is the game that my friends and I all go back to. So 2 specifically, they made a Mario Party Superstars on the Switch, which is kind of a remake of 1, 2, and 3 for Mario Party. Yeah. And that's really well done. We like playing that one quite a bit. But if I had to pick one game, it'd be Mario Party 2.
Awesome.
Cool.
What's funny is I didn't really like that game when it came out when I was a kid, and it's only because everything was themed. I was like, oh man, why does Mario have to have like a cowboy hat on? Like, I don't know why, but as a kid that bothered me a lot. But going back at it now, I was just like, it's kind of interesting that they did that. Like the games are way more fun than the first one. So it's just funny how when you're a kid, you're just like, I don't like this thing for a stupid reason.
Yep.
You know?
It always gave me a headache, because we would always like the game lasted like an hour and a half to 2 hours, and you're at a party and it's noisy. And then now as an adult, I appreciate it way more.
Yeah, for sure. So do you have all the modern consoles currently, or are you kind of just focusing on like Switch stuff?
Just Switch stuff. When I started collecting early on, I actually collected for almost everything, like Sega, also Nintendo, Atari, PlayStation. I got into a little bit of everything, and I was too overwhelmed. And then I really narrowed my focus on what I wanted to play, what I loved, and what I also thought might maintain value. Nintendo games kind of maintain value. We only have so many hours as adults now to try and like game, if you've noticed.
Unfortunately.
So we only have a Nintendo Switch as a modern console, and I don't really game on my PC really at all right now. But my wife wants a PS5.
Yeah.
We're not there yet, but we probably will be eventually.
Nice. So would you say when you started collecting, was your goal always like a completionist? Were you trying to get all the games, or just the games that you really wanted? Because I know with like your systems, like your console sets and stuff like that, it seems like you're a completionist with like the consoles. But are you the same way with the games?
Well said. Consoles, for some reason, I wanted to get all the color variations worldwide, especially for home consoles. Handheld, I'm maybe not even halfway with handheld. I have a lot of the variations, just not all the color variations.
Mhm.
But for games, it was just the ones I want to play, and like major franchises that I wanted to choose: Mario, Zelda, Pokemon being the big three, Metroid,
Right.
Kirby, Donkey Kong, and other things like that. And then any other games that I thought were really interesting to me that I might want to play in the future with children one day or friends, and then anything that I thought might be valuable. So I'm not a completionist in any console.
Right.
I think I'm trying to go for basically like the top 100 in each system.
Okay. I think that's really fair. Yeah, your
How do you guys
collection.
collect actually? Do you guys go for everything, or do you guys go for like just a bit of each system?
So I used to collect a ton. But when my first when my first kid was born in 2015, I ended up selling off a ton of it because kids are expensive. So I ended up selling off almost everything. And actually, just recently now, we're starting a new series on the channel called the SNES Quest, and I'm trying to completely build a Super Nintendo collection from scratch.
I saw you got the first $300 bundle you're going to put towards that, I think.
Yes, sir.
Right? Yeah.
Yep. And I just picked up a Super Nintendo actually as of this episode. That's the most recent thing that I've put out on TikTok. So on TikTok, I'm putting out essentially kind of what I'm doing up to date, and then on YouTube, I'm going to have the full episodes come out at once. So yeah, that's basically how I'm collecting right now. I'm really only collecting Super Nintendo. Yaiser, what about you?
I don't really collect anything. I don't have a collection of anything.
No. So we play almost all of our games exclusively emulation, unless we happen to have them physical, which is pretty rare.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so it's hard for both of us to have the space and just the extra money to just go out and collect a ton of these games. Because face it now, like if you didn't have them pre-blow up, like of like 2019, 2020, whenever that really blew up, it's expensive. It's it's so much money. If you're trying to get stuff retail now, you're spending like $300 to $400 on just like a small handful of games for the Super Nintendo.
I did a Super Nintendo buyer's guide years ago, like 6 years ago, $100 buying guide. What would you get for $100? Now it's like the system, maybe one game, and that's the whole buyer's guide.
Yeah,
the prices have gone insane. They've gone crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, I bought the system and Super Mario World off of Facebook Marketplace for $80.
Yep,
And that's a
budget.
It's a great deal.
It's a pretty good deal.
Yeah, not bad.
Not bad at all. But yeah, that's basically the state of collecting right now, unfortunately. But yeah, so no, your collection's amazing though. And obviously, when did you first like start collecting seriously?
I think it was, I would say 13, 14 years ago when I started seriously collecting.
Yeah.
I was in first year university, not a good time to start, but I realized garage sales, Kijiji, like Facebook Marketplace, those kinds of things. Mercari, I think, is a common one in the US.
Yep.
I went on those and would find tons of bundles for really cheap, and then like buy the whole bundle, keep what I wanted, sell what I didn't want, do it again, and just keep putting money into it that way. And flea markets were great back then too.
Exactly.
So yeah,
Nice.
14 years, I'd say probably.
Yeah, and back then you could get like a handful of Super Nintendo games or any console really for just a few bucks. At flea markets or whatever. Really, nobody had any idea what they were worth, and really back then they weren't worth a ton. You had a few. You had maybe like 20 or so games, like on the Super Nintendo, for example, that were like over $100 at the time, but now it's just like it's commonplace for $100 Super Nintendo games.
That's exactly right. So many of the games that I wish I got back then that are now thousands of dollars. I'm probably never going to get them unless you trade for them. They're just crazy expensive. Right. For every story like that, though, I've got like 5 of the games that did go up. So I'm very, very fortunate.
Yeah, for sure. And
Nice.
and sometimes you buy some games that you think will either maintain value or heavily increase in value, right? If you keep them sealed. So like for example, some of the Pokemon games you've been buying duplicates of, right? To just keep them into your collection and then eventually sell off the ones later to then put money back into your collection with, right?
Yeah, only recently with the pandemic, because I think we were all sitting at home pretty bored looking for a hobby. So I think collecting kind of boomed for that reason too. You're right. I started getting duplicates of all the 3DS Pokemon games because I could buy them for almost the price they were in store. So if they were like $40, $35 in store, that's what I was trying to buy them for. Yeah. But I only really have sealed games from the 3DS and Wii up to like the Switch. I don't have any real sealed games from like previous to that other than Kirby's Adventure on the NES. That's like it.
Yeah, that's a cool one to have, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it'd be worth more, but it's not worth that much. It's cool to have.
Yeah, definitely cool.
Kirby's first game.
All right. So before we get into Super Mario World, do want to talk about our Patreon, and you can join it for as little as $2 a month, and you can put whatever game that you want us to play into the Patreon list. Our Patreon list is much shorter than our master list, which you can just put games on there for free by just commenting down on the YouTube comments section. Any games that you want us to play, we'll add them to our master list. And yeah, there's a $2 tier, a $5 tier, and a $10 tier. Check them out in the description below. And thanks if you want to support us. So moving on to Super Mario World. Yaiser, have you ever played this game before this week?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Not like a ton, because
Right.
platforming isn't not my cup of tea. But yeah, I've played it here and there.
Yeah, not your cup of tea. And if you're a regular viewer, then you know that Yaiser didn't really grow up with this generation of gaming. Your first console was really the GameCube, right?
Yeah. I played them all before that, but I didn't get a ton of time with them,
Happens
Great
when you have
first
older
console.
brothers. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Great first console. So
love it.
weird, so niche.
I know. I love it. I still love it. Still play Mario Baseball all the time.
Yes. Mario Strikers at all? Because that's hilarious too.
I haven't played that in a long time. No.
Soccer with electrified fences and body checking. It's amazing.
That was a lot of fun. I definitely played a lot of that back in the day.
Slightly off topic, Lithium. What was your opinion on the new Strikers?
I've just actually played a good chunk of it the other day, like 3 days ago with a buddy.
Yeah.
It's a lot of fun. I think it's a lot harder to score than I remember on the GameCube. Maybe I was just really good at the one on the GameCube.
Yeah.
The one on the Wii, you could score like 7 goals in one shot with the Hyper Strike. It was just way too overpowered. So it's back to a bit better. For this game, at least, like each side of the field, you can choose as having a different kind of like field itself. So you can have grass and turf on the other side. And I like the power-ups. I like how many characters they have, and they keep releasing new characters. So the game's as deep as I thought a soccer game would be for Mario, basically.
Okay. That's honestly probably the best review I've heard of it. So, I mean, that's cool to know that there are people out there that liked it, because from what I've seen, and when we put out the Mario Baseball episode and we were saying, can't wait for them to make another Mario Baseball, comments are just coming in saying like, no, dude, it's going to suck like the soccer game that came out for the Switch. And I'm like, did the soccer one suck? I never played it. So I was just like, but anyway.
I think if you compared it to reviews for like the GameCube one and the Wii one, it's probably pretty comparable. They're probably getting like a 68 to like a 72. It's probably like somewhere in that range.
Yeah.
It's not great. The tennis games have struggled. There's reasons for that. One of them was an arcade that they ported, but a lot of the sports games haven't been great. Golf's been pretty good. I thought
I was going to say, we've had a blast with golf.
Yeah, the new golf's pretty fun.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's pretty good. But baseball, we need baseball. It's weird.
We need
Why they
baseball,
don't
and
have
we
that.
need another 3-on-3 hoops. I think that would be great.
They would be dope.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
3DS
All right.
game, right? DS game?
Yeah, DS. Yep.
Yes.
Yeah, very cool. All right, in Lithium, obviously, you've played Super Mario World.
Yes.
Yeah. You used to do, I don't know if it's still a thing that you've done, but you used to do a Mario like marathon where you and your buddies would get together and you would beat every like main series Mario game in one night, right?
It wouldn't always be one night. Like, I think it would usually be 48 to 50 hours.
Oh, yeah, over the weekend or something kind of deal, right?
That's right. We raised money for McMaster Children's Hospital at the time. We haven't done one in a few years with the pandemic.
Right.
And everyone had children. It's been really hard to coincide our schedules properly.
Those pandemic babies.
We know all
Yes,
about that, yeah.
Exactly. But yes, we would play through all the main Mario games on home consoles. We wouldn't do it on one screen, though. We would do it on 4 or 5 screens and stream all of them to one stream at the same time and have a main feature game.
Yep.
So we would usually feature like Mario 1, 2, 3, World, and then you go through all the games basically kind of in order. But certain games are so long that we need to start them right away. Like Galaxy 2 is a really long game. 3D World is a really long game. So they would have their own screen and go the whole time. But we would beat
awesome.
Mario World every year. I wouldn't always participate in that game, but sometimes we'd split it up. Sometimes one person would do the whole game.
Awesome.
That's really cool.
So in this week, I played Super Mario World for probably, I want to say like 4 hours or so. And this is a game that I beat probably at least once a year. Full disclosure, Super Mario World is my favorite game of all time. Yeah.
Number one.
It is the number one game on my list of all time. So it's going to get some pretty solid ratings here. Uh, I beat it twice this week because I felt like I needed to. I beat it.
100%? Or what'd you do?
So one time I beat it on stream in about an hour or so. And then so if you want to check that out, check out Twitch, because that's where we stream primarily. We usually stream there once or twice a week, and we always stream the game that we're going to play for that week. So if you want to see us playing that game, we do release a playthrough. Usually comes out on Wednesdays on YouTube, but that's a cut up, 15-minute or so version of our playthrough. If you want to see the full thing, head over to our Twitch, because that's where we keep that. So I played it once through there, and then I played it once, not streaming or anything, just at my house and chilling. And I got to 96 exits on that one.
That's awesome.
Yeah, 96 exits. I've only done that like three or four times, I think. I did it on the original Super Nintendo, just now on my SNES Mini. I did it on my Wii U once, and then I did it again on the Switch. So, I mean, cool. It's a good time. I love this game. And obviously, Lithium, you've beaten this game before.
Yep. As a kid, only with friends, because I never owned a Super Nintendo growing up. And then in my adult years, tons of times, like once a year, like you said. Try to 96 exit every time if I can. I did that this week as well, leading up to this, and I finished it today, like 3 hours before. I had to do the Special World and Star World. That's what I left for today.
Nice. And Yaiser, did you get a chance to beat the game?
No, I didn't.
No.
I did not.
You had a rough time this week because you started a new job. So congrats to you on landing the new job.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
But unfortunately for you had less time to play the game.
Yes, I am exhausted currently.
Yeah. But all right. So let's head into story here. I guess I can kick it off with story, I think. So let's do that. The story's pretty simple, right? It's Mario. You got to go save Peach from Bowser. It's kind of the same old thing, right? However, I will say there's a new caveat to this game that I think makes the game so much better. They introduce so many new characters. They introduce all the Koopalings, and they introduce Yoshi for the first time in a Mario game. So, and I love the whole Koopaling thing. So
I think they were in Mario 3 originally, but they're back in Mario World.
Oh, true. They were in Mario 3. You know what? I still love that they're in it.
Yeah. And Yoshi's brand new.
Yoshi is brand new. That one I knew for sure. Actually, well, I mean, he's new to the Mario main series, right? But he had his own games previous to this, right? Because did he have Yoshi's Cookie? Was that before this?
That's a great question. I don't know the answer to that, because Yoshi's Cookie was out on the NES.
On the NES, yeah.
But I don't know the timing.
Oh, wow.
Because Mario World was 1990 in Japan, 1991 in North America.
Right.
NES still had games coming out. That's a good question. I thought he was invented for this game, but don't know.
Something we could probably look up fairly quickly here. But I love the fact that they had all the Koopalings in this game, because I felt like it just made the, all the castles were so much more interesting that way. And I love how they had all the names of the Koopalings were all named after I guess like pop icons, because not necessarily just music. A lot of them were music, but so like Larry Koopa, for example, was named after Larry Mullen Jr., the drummer for U2. And Yaiser, I think you're gonna have some fun with this, because I'm assuming you didn't know this information, right?
No, I didn't know any of this.
Morton Koopa Jr., he was named after Morton Downey Jr., an American tabloid talk show presenter. And then we have Wendy O. Koopa, who was named after Wendy O. Williams, an American singer and frontwoman of the punk rock band The Plasmatics.
Oh.
Then we have Iggy Koopa. Any guesses, Yaiser?
No.
Iggy Pop.
Iggy Pop, yep. Named
Makes
after
sense.
Iggy Pop. And then we have Roy Koopa, named after Roy Orbison. And then we have Lemmy Koopa. This one you got to get, Yaiser.
Oh, it's Lemmy. Yeah.
Yeah. Lemmy from Motorhead.
Motorhead.
That one's pretty iconic. And then we have Ludwig von Koopa, and obviously named after Ludwig von Beethoven. So I thought that was really awesome that they had all that.
That is cool.
And one of my favorite parts of like just gaming history was when, I mean, for me anyway, my gaming history was when I was a kid and I finally got to, the last world and that sunken ship comes up and I'm like, that was the ship from Mario 3. Like I remember like knowing that. And so I thought that was an awesome thing to add to the story. I gave the story a 5 stars. I had to do it. I absolutely had to do it. Gave it a 5 stars. No regrets. 5 stars for the story. Yaiser?
I see where this is going. I didn't give it 5 for story.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
Because, it's Save Peach from Bowser. It's every time. It's the same thing every time.
Great story.
But it's great. It is great. And the world is so much cooler in this than any of the other games. And like you said, all the new characters and stuff that were introduced. Well, at least Yoshi. And but yeah, I'm at 3.5 with it.
Okay.
Better than all the other ones we played.
Honestly, if this was my first time playing the game, I might be on board with you. But I'll say this rating in particular might have some nostalgia glasses on for, but everything else is 100% pure. That's my rating. So what about you, Lithium? What would you rate this game out of 5 stars for story?
First of all, I kind of agree with you, Andrew. There's not a lot of story here because it's a platformer. Pardon me. So it's go save Peach. But Yoshi's like, hey, all of my friends were kidnapped too. You got to save them. They're all trapped in these eggs. Other than that, there's not a lot of story.
Forget about that.
I do like at the end of every castle, there's a blurb of text that you read that kind of progresses the story as you go through. Kind of feels like a chapter book in a way like that to me. So I enjoy that. But the story kind of progresses with gameplay mostly. So I was actually the same as Andrew. I gave it 3.5 out of 5. I don't think there's a lot of story. You don't play this game for the story.
No, you don't. And I don't think that a 3.5 rating should really dictate what this game means on the grand scheme of things, right? So, I mean, because we'll see, it's going to definitely make up for it in the other categories.
It's almost a category that doesn't mean a lot for this game.
It doesn't, no. And we've had games like that. And, I bring that up whenever we have a game that maybe doesn't get the best story score. For example, Crazy Taxi, I bring it up every single time. I think we gave it like a 1 or 1.5 or something because it has no story at all. It's go pick up people, get money. That's it. And that's great because it's an arcade game and it's so much fun and it's so much more than its story. It doesn't need to have a good story to be a great game.
That game's a blast. Do you remember Crazy Box?
Yes, the Crazy Box is very difficult.
All the challenges. Yeah, that was excellent.
Yeah, it's very tough. All right, let's head into gameplay unless there's anything else we want to touch on in story. We're good? All right, we're good.
Yeah, we're good.
Let's move over to gameplay then. Lithium, do you want to start us off in gameplay?
Sure. I think some of the best controls in any video game I've ever played. Pretty intuitive, especially if you played the previous Mario games. You got a jump button, you got a spin jump button. You duck, you can fly if you get the cape, you have a fire flower, but the other additional, because there's not that many power-ups in this game, but the power-ups kind of come also beyond the cape with Yoshi and the different variations of Yoshi that you start getting once you get to Special World and Star World, because there's different colors of Yoshi.
Right.
Beyond that, it's just such tight controls that when you die, you almost always know it was your fault, which I really like in general.
Sure. Yep. It doesn't feel like there's ever really a cheap death in the game. So what would you say you rated out of 5?
Well, for gameplay, like it's a 5 out of 5. Like I would play this game, pick up the controller, give it to a friend. I feel like almost anyone can understand the controls pretty instantly.
Yep.
In addition to that kind of gameplay, I'm not sure what else like kind of goes in the category. I've got some notes here, but like you can technically play 2-player, which I like.
Yep.
So at least they have that option, and you can switch between Mario and Luigi when you play 2-player. So that's kind of part of gameplay as well. I do like at the end of every level, there's the goal that you're trying to hit. And if you cross the ticker tape or whatever it is at the giant gate at the end, you get stars. And if you get eventually 100 stars, you go to a bonus level and you can get more 1-ups. Yep. I like that. I like basically like the power-ups. I don't like the power-ups as much as I did in Mario 3. I thought in Mario 3 they were more diverse, and I liked them better the way they were implicated. But
I agree.
Implemented. But I feel like Yoshi just added so much more in this game.
Yeah.
The only knock I have on gameplay is some of the levels you can kind of cheaply go through with the cape. And if you know how to infinitely fly, you can just cheese the whole level. The
game can be just be very, very easy.
Yeah,
If you
but
can
I'd
just do
give
that
it.
flutter effect, I guess.
Yeah, but I'd give it 5 out of 5 overall, personally.
Yeah, I'm gonna piggyback right off of you. I also give it a 5 out of 5. This game doesn't feel like I'm gonna give you the perfect reason why this game gets a 5 out of 5 in gameplay. It's Mario Kaisos, right? There's still people playing Super Mario World to this day, every single day on Twitch, on TikTok, everything. So Mario Kaisos is the perfect reason why. And spoiler alert: my age is going to be 5 too, because people won't stop playing this game. It's still a part of gaming today.
Does Kaizo have updated gameplay at all? Like, is any of the controls different in any way, or is it almost the exact same?
I don't think so. I really don't. I mean, not from what I've never played it myself, but just from observing. And we've had a couple of people on the show that play Mario Kaisos, and I'm pretty sure that from what I'm aware of, I don't think the gameplay really has changed.
That really speaks to how good it is. If it didn't really
Yeah.
need any tweaking.
They didn't need to change anything because it's perfect. Yeah, no, I'm giving it a 5 as well. I do think that the just including the different color Yoshis that can do different things, right? One of them can fly, one of them can what is the other one, like they can do like fireballs.
And that's right. And I think one of them's like sand platforms, very rare, but it's the yellow Yoshi, I think.
Oh, right. Yeah. So they did include other aspects to the gameplay for that. I also love the it's kind of like a love-hate thing for me, but the ghost houses, it's just a different way to play the game, and I like how there's like a maze or you have to try and figure it out, and I love that there's like multiple exits on some levels as well, just because it just adds more replayability to the game. So I love that. I love the secret world with all like the Mondo and the humongous like levels and stuff like that. It's just
They're
super
named so well, so 90s.
Yeah, so 90s. That's perfect.
Gnarly and tubular.
That's great.
But I do love the way the levels, like on the map, I didn't know the first time I played the game, but if it's red, the little like indicator of the level, that means there's 2 exits.
Yep.
And if it's yellow, it means there's only 1 exit.
Yep.
But all the ghost houses have 2 exits, except for I think Vanilla Dome ghost ship, whatever it is. I think everything else has a secret exit for like the red dots and the ghost houses.
Yep.
And not knowing that, with all the keys and the secret exits and everything, like if you didn't know some of them, there's no way you would have figured them out. Like there's one level there you have to go fast. I think you have to enter a pipe by 250 seconds or else you don't get that secret exit key.
Yeah, that's the dinosaur one.
Chocolate Island 2, I think.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the one with the dinosaurs.
Yes.
And it depends too, like what you do in that first scene. It changes the second scene in the level.
Which number I think of coins you get or something. Like it's...
Yep. Yeah, if you get like an odd number of coins or something like that, it's a different scene. The second scene or whatever. Which I again, for its time, is pretty amazing that they can do stuff like that. So yeah, I mean, I don't know. This game still blows me away today. Like when I play it, I'm just like, yeah, it's perfect. I gave it a 5. Yaiser?
You know, I get it. I get it. I do. I get it. I understand. I recognize that this is, you know, I mean, for me as a fan, a non-platforming fan, I said that right. It's still, I would call it the best one I've ever played, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I get it. But at the end of the day, it's just running and jumping, right? Still just running and jumping. And it leaves something
really
the best running and jumping ever.
I agree. But it leaves something to be desired for me. But I mean, I'm not going to disappoint you guys too much. I'm at 4.5 here.
Okay.
I couldn't go perfect. I'm not, you know, it's not my jam. I think
that's a very respectable score for somebody that does not like platformers.
I mean, the game is very respectable.
And I just looked it up now. When we played Super Mario Brothers 3 last season, you gave that a 3.5 in gameplay. So it's gone up a full point.
Yeah, I mean Yoshi.
Yeah, and we'll get to Yoshi because there's a whole nother aspect to Yoshi that we'll touch on in a second here. But
are you more lenient because Mario 3 was released late for the NES, but Super Mario World was like the first game on the Super Nintendo, and they were still figuring it out maybe?
It's so crazy that it's the first game that came out for the Super Nintendo, right? Because it's perfect. Like I just can't. I don't know. They didn't make it. They haven't made a better Mario yet. I mean, that might be, you know, an opinion, but it's true. So, I mean, I don't think they've made a better Mario yet. I like even playing like the ones for the one that came out for the Wii U and the Switch and stuff like that, like the 2D platforming ones. I'm like, they're good, dude, but they're not Mario World. I don't know what it is. That's probably the nostalgia glasses speaking, but it's so much fun.
Was it your first? Was this your first Mario game?
No. Super Mario Bros. 1 was, and then I don't think I played 2 a little bit as a kid. 3 was the one I played a ton of. Like 3 was probably my most played game on the NES. And then I remember when I got my Super Nintendo, Super Mario World was just my life. That's all I did as a kid. So yeah, so I'd certainly played through a little bit of the series before I got to that one. All right. If we're good at gameplay, if there's anything else anybody wants to add before we go on to visuals.
Maybe for gameplay, it has 96 exits, but I think it's like 73 unique levels. And I felt like Mario 1 to Mario 3 was a big jump. Let's just skip over Mario 2 for a second anyways. It's so different, that game. And then, the jump from Mario 1 to Mario 3 was abnormally huge. And then the jump from Mario 3 to Mario World for me didn't feel like it was monstrous. And I didn't feel like the game was that much bigger. The game was just more puzzly. And that's maybe why it takes some people's a little bit longer. Like it's still 5 out of 5 for gameplay, just 96 exits. I wonder why they picked 96. Why not 100? You're so close. Count Yoshi's house as like an exit or something. I don't know. Beat Bowser. They didn't count those. The back door and the front door for Bowser's. So you count those in Yoshi's house and you're at 99. Like just get to 100. I don't know. 5 out of 5.
Yeah. Figure it out. Add a couple more in there. No, I think it's perfectly said. 5 out of 5. You didn't need to say anything else. All right. Let's head into visuals here. Yaiser, you want to start us off?
Yeah, I mean, it's a pretty easy one, right?
I think it's easy.
It's definitely a 5. It's beautiful. The game's beautiful. And I didn't know it was the very first Super Nintendo game, so that does make it even more impressive.
Well, I would say, I mean, it came out with like a bunch of launch titles. I don't have the list of launch titles on me currently. I just know that like it was probably Super Mario World and like, I don't know, like Pilot Wings or something like that.
I am Googling it. Sorry if you can hear my keyboard for a second.
No, you're
I thought
good.
it was just like the handful of games. Yeah, it was Super Mario World,
like 6 games
F-Zero,
or something.
Pilot Wings, Gradius 3, SimCity. It was like 5 games. That's it.
Yeah.
And while I'm on the Google, Yoshi was released after Super Mario World.
Perfect.
Even on the NES, it was like a year later. So Super Mario World is his first game.
Awesome.
Oh, wow. Cool.
I knew that like Wario, I'm pretty sure, again, don't quote me, but I'm pretty sure that Wario's Woods was the last game ever released on the NES. So I knew that, and that was, I think, released in like 94 or something like that, which is like halfway through the SNES's lifespan. So I knew that they were still for sure releasing games on the NES. That's why I wasn't sure where like Yoshi's Cookie came into that. But
Yoshi's Cookie, I never even heard of Yoshi's Cookie.
It's a puzzle game.
Yeah, it's a puzzle game. Same with Wario's Woods. They're not.
Yeah,
they're not amazing.
Great.
Gotcha.
All right. So Yaiser, you said you gave it a 5?
Yeah, of course. It's beautiful.
Yeah, piggybacking off of Yaiser, I also gave it a 5. Surprise here, but absolutely love the world design. All the level design is fantastic. All the background imagery and stuff like that. One of my favorite. I love it when it looks like you're up in the trees. I can't remember what level it is, but I'm pretty sure it's like in the second world. And it's the one where like you jump on the platforms and like you follow like the lines the entire time, and it's a good one. I love that one. I love like the way the aesthetics in that one level, just that it brings me back immediately. And actually, I think the most nostalgic level for me is probably Castle 2 for some reason. That one, I have no idea why, but that level immediately brings me back to my living room, just like sitting in my mom's living room playing that game as like a 6 or 7 year old or whatever. You know what I mean? So this game is super nostalgic for me, but visuals look amazing. I think all the character sprites look great. 5 out of 5. What about you, Lithium?
I love the visuals. They're very bright, vibrant. Even the logo kicks it off right away, like really vibrant with the red, the blue, the yellow, the green. Love the Super Mario World logo. And then, like you said, all the characters in the game, they designed really well, colorful, really interesting to look at. The character Blarg in the lava, love it. Never knew his name as a kid, but yeah. Blarg, love it. Even Charge and Shuck is such a cool kind of fun, different character.
Yep.
The the Rhino, what is it? Dino Rhino and Rex, like the dinosaur characters.
Yeah.
I wanted more of them. They were only in a few worlds or a few levels, and I really wanted more of them, which was really cool.
Yep.
But then you have like some of the huge characters. Like there's Mega Mole in it. There's Torpedo Ted. There's the giant Bonsai Bill as well. Some of like the big characters and the small characters, and they're all colorful. They're all really cool to look at. The background's super visually pleasing, as you said. Really very vibrant to look at. And the interconnected world you referred to, in Mario 3, there was a giant overworld, but it wasn't really connected. Like when you beat a world, you got whisked away by like a tornado to the next world.
Right.
But in this, everything's actually connected. And
it's like one
big
full
world.
continent. Yeah.
And even the map, like the different regions, chocolate looks like chocolate, like cheesecake. What is it? There's Cheese Bridge and Butter Bridge and all Forest of Illusion. Like everything looks the way it should. It looks really good.
Yeah, I think there's like Soda Falls or something like that too.
Soda Lake, yeah.
Soda Lake, that's what it is. Yeah. Yeah. I also love the third world where like you're inside that cave, and just like that overworld in the third world looks so cool. Everything in Star World looks amazing. I can't say enough about how much I love like the visuals in this game. And again, it just brings me back to when I was a kid, and it's just like that. It's perfect. It just hits that spot for me.
It's hard to be in a bad mood playing one of the levels, no matter how hard it is. It just looks so good.
Right?
Yeah.
So I think we're good there.
If I didn't say 5 out of 5, it's 5 out of 5.
Oh yeah, I think you said it right.
I'm not sure, but sorry.
Well, we said it again. We're good.
If you didn't, it was implied.
Yeah, it was certainly implied. All right, let's head over to sound. And Lithium, why don't you kick us off for sound?
Koji Kondo, one of the best soundtracks of all time. It's harder for me to hear a song and name like the unique level that it's from, but holistically, the whole game just has such good auditory like tones the whole time. Even some things that it echoes when you're underground, like little things like that, or when you're underwater, it kind of changes a bit, but especially when you're underground, I remember that. Yoshi's Island theme is one of my favorite songs from the game personally, and Koji Kondo just did such a good job on the system for the first time you can use the system, incorporating so many different instruments. It said he used piano, pan flute, I'm reading this off a list, brass, bass, clarinet, synth, string, steel drum, dry kick, snare drum, hi-hat, conga, all put together that he like built, eventually adding one more, and then has the theme song, which was really similar to Mario 3, but he just made it even better. It sounds so good. All the sound effects too are spectacular throughout the game.
Yeah,
100%. So I'm assuming 5 out of 5 here for you. Yeah.
Yes.
Again, 5 out of 5 for me as well. And the one thing that you didn't touch on that I must talk about, because it's one of my favorite things to show anybody who's never played this game before, is that there's 2 versions of the soundtrack, one without Yoshi and one with Yoshi. Every single song changes when you jump on Yoshi, and it adds bongos to it, and I love it. It's so awesome. It's just a small detail that they add, and it's just like, it's amazing that they added that. I love it so much. What about you, Yaiser?
Yeah, it's a clean sweep here, man. Of course it is. I don't think we've played any of the main Mario Brothers games that hasn't been 5s across the board for sound, right?
Right. I mean,
I don't think we have.
Yeah, I don't think so either. They're always amazing. This is one of the soundtracks that I can go ahead and like load up into like a Spotify playlist, and I can listen to this over and over and over again, and it's totally fine. Playing through it this week, my daughter played through it with me, and she's like dancing along to the music and stuff like that on the side while I'm playing. even my wife, who's like feeding my newborn son, is just like humming along and nodding her head to the theme music. So it's like, you know what I mean? Like literally everybody in the room is enjoying this right now, and I'm the only one playing the game. So yeah, 5 out of 5 for sound for sure. And again, all the sound effects, all perfect, at least in my mind. All right, let's head over to aged. And Yaiser, why don't you kick us off?
You know, even though it's not my type of game, it's still fun. I still had a lot of fun playing it, and it feels so perfect. It just controls so well. I mean, and it looks so great, sounds so great. How do you not give it a 5 here? You know,
I don't know, dude. It would be a colossal
talk me out of
mistake,
it.
I think. I can't talk you out of it, man, because I agree. I think it's a 5, and I'm going to tell you exactly the same thing I said earlier for gameplay. Everybody's still playing it, whether it's in Mario Maker, whether it's in Kaizos. It's Super Mario World is still everywhere. Try to have a TikTok account and watch people play games live and not run across somebody playing Super Mario World. Whether, like I said, whether it's the actual game or Kaizos, somebody's still playing it. It holds up tremendously. It still feels perfect as far as platformers go. So yeah, 100% 5 for me. What about you, Lithium?
I would also give it a 5. I think it's aged really, really well. I do like how now you can play it on more platforms, and you can play it on the Switch online, but with the rewind feature, I think that's even better for getting people involved and maybe playing a bit more, especially if you have young children or anything. Being able to save state basically and rewind can just get anyone into the game. There's no real penalty anymore.
Right.
For the game itself, it got 94% going back on game rankings, like overall collective score.
Oh, wow.
It was Game of the Year in 1991 for Nintendo Power Magazine and Power Play. And really, like you said, like everyone's still playing in Kaizo. Speedrunners are still doing it. There's the Mario Hour where you beat the first 6 Mario games. Try to beat them in 1 hour, and that's getting more popular. And Mario World's a part of that too.
Yep.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so many of the assets from that game and the sound bites and Yoshi himself coming from the game, like it's aged so beautifully that anytime it's on at any function at any party, everyone gathers around the TV. People would want to play it. 5 out of 5.
Man, you summed it up so perfectly. There's nothing else to add to that. That's great.
No.
And you had all your stuff with you, all the stats and everything. It's perfect. Thanks for bringing so much to the show.
Bro, dude.
Really appreciate it. But yeah, so I mean that's essentially Super Mario World, and if you guys didn't know, you should go play it. 100%. Let's go over our overalls here. Yaiser came in at the lowest at a 4.6, and that might be the highest score Yaiser's ever given.
It might be.
Pretty sure. Lithium came in at a 4.7, and I came in at a perfect 5 out of 5. I had to do it. My favorite all-time game. I don't think anything will ever beat this. I don't think anything will ever dethrone Super Mario World for me at number 1. And that statement right there is purely nostalgia based. I understand that, but I'm sticking to it. I think it's fine. I think Super Mario World is the game that made me the gamer I am today. Super Mario 3 kind of pushed me in that direction, but I don't know that I really would have fell in love with video games the way I did if it wasn't for Super Mario World. So I have to give it its due. 5 out of 5 for me.
Fair.
Yeah. So real quick, our buddy DMC PCRT is here to give us his drop-in of Super Mario World, and we're going to take a look at what he has to say.
Oh, hey! Playing some Super Mario World here. And I know I'm supposed to be dropping in about a review about this game and all that, but let's be real, it's Super Mario World. It's one of the greatest platformers and one of Nintendo's best ever. It's a game that I think anybody should experience, whether it's the Super Nintendo version, the Game Boy Advance, or even on the Switch. It's a game that appeals to everybody, in my opinion. You can be the most hardcore of hardcore, or someone who's picking up games for the first time, and you're still going to find fun and challenge, and maybe even a little bit of whimsy inside this. The music's amazing, graphics look great for the Super Nintendo, and yeah, it's just one of those games. I'm not going to do a super review because what is there to say about Super Mario World that hasn't been said already? So yeah, I think the best thing you can really do with this one is just find a way to play it, sit down, and play it. I'm going to play some Super Mario World. Cheers.
Thanks again for having me on. My name is DMCPCRT, where you can find me on TikTok or on Twitch, where, hey, we actually recently beat all of Super Mario World. So I'd love to see you there. Again, DMCPCRT, and thanks for having me on Reliving Retro. Cheers.
I mean, I think that speaks, like, DMC, when he comes on the show, he's a pretty heavy, like, grader, I would say. Like, he's pretty, I wouldn't say strict necessarily, but he he really dives into the details, and he kind of dissects everything. So for him to just straight up 5s across the board, I think just goes to show just the legacy that this game leaves behind.
Without explanation, just throw them up there.
Oh yeah, because right, to him it's like it doesn't need to be talked about. It's Super Mario World. Everybody knows it. Everybody loves it. It's an amazing game.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for the drop in, DMC. And like he said, go check him out on TikTok. Go check him out on Twitch at the name DMC PCRT. All right. Now's the time of the show where we randomly select what game we're playing next, and we have our guest try to guess what that game is. Lithium, you ready?
Absolutely.
All right, let's hit this randomizer then. All right. So we have that's too funny. So we have a third-person platformer released for the Nintendo 64 in 1996, developed by Nintendo, published by Nintendo.
Mario 64.
Nailed it. Back-to-back Mario games. That's kind of crazy.
Yeah. Like, I mean, technically there's sequels, right? Mario World.
Yeah.
And the Mario 64. So,
I mean, well, I guess Mario World 2 Yoshi's Island, is that really a sequel?
That's really the sequel, but I guess spiritually Mario 64 would be.
Yeah. I'm pretty excited about this one.
That's cool. Me too.
Now, Lithium, what would you say your opinions are on Super Mario 64? Does it deserve all the hype it gets, or is it a little overblown due to everything else on the system?
Again, it was a launch game, so it deserves all the hype it gets. It's fantastic. I think it's one of my top games of all time. I play it all the time. I have to. It's such a good game. It's such a good experience. If you have a Switch, you can pick it up on Switch Online, but you can also get it on the 3D All-Stars on the Switch. So if you're looking to play it before you guys do the podcast, there's a few different ways of playing it. My only issue with the game is it's a bit dated. There are a few things like getting a star and not leaving the level, staying in the level, like Banjo-Kazooie. After you collect a star, I would have liked that better. But music, like everything, gameplay, all the levels, the design, first 3D Mario game, one of the first games in 3D ever, launch game, nailed out of the park. One of my best favorite games ever.
Yeah, it's very good. Do you have a number one like favorite game of all time?
For nostalgia goggles on my own personal game, it is Paper Mario on the N64. Awesome. That's my number one childhood memory, I think. But other than that, it would be Mario 64, Mario Galaxy 2, Wind Waker for Zelda, and Breath of the Wild probably would be all at the top of my list. And they're all Mario or Zelda.
That's awesome.
Very fair. All right. So that being said, do you have a game to add to our master list?
I'm going to give you two options now. So you could add to the list the sequel to Mario 64, which would be Mario Sunshine.
Yep. For the GameCube.
For the GameCube, and then be like 3 in a row. But also I would add to the list Star Fox 64, if it's on the list already. Highly replayable, one of my childhood classics. You can beat it in like 45, 50 minutes, and you can play through and go through a whole different route each time. There's like medium, easy, and hard routes in the game. Defeat Andross, it's a great experience.
Now, does it tell you which routes are easy, medium, and hard, straight up?
Based on the world map, you start at one planet, you have no other option. Depending on how you beat that planet, you then kind of go easy or hard path. Easy path is green, hard path is red on the map, and then eventually there's middle paths as well that are yellow.
Gotcha.
So if you go all the way to the ends, to the final planets and Venom, and you're trying to defeat Andross, the hard path, because it goes back down to 2 nodes before you go to the final Venom planet. If you go to hard path, it's a whole different boss battle. And if you go easy path, it's another different boss battle. So you might want to consider beating it hard path and easy path.
That's very cool.
Cool, yeah.
I just beat it on the Super Nintendo. I beat the original on the Super Nintendo. And I don't think that there was really like a visual discrepancy of paths, right? I don't think it showed like which one was easier or medium, or at least I didn't notice anyway. I just chose one and I was just like, I hope this one's easy because I'm pretty sure I'm terrible at this game. I got through it pretty quickly. So I would think the first 3 stages were real easy. Stages 4 and 5 I had some difficulty with, and then Andross was actually fairly easy. But I don't know if that's everybody's experience or just mine in that moment.
But, on the map, it might just be like top path or bottom path. I don't know.
Oh yeah,
I
yeah. I'm
don't
not
remember colors
entirely sure.
either.
I'm not entirely sure, but that one was pretty fun. So I'm definitely excited to see what Star Fox 64 has to offer. I know as a kid, seeing commercials for Star Fox 64, and one of my mom's friends, her son actually had Star Fox 64, and I was super jealous because I was like, that game looks crazy. I want to try that because I'd never heard of the original Star Fox before. So that was my first, that was my first time seeing any type of Star Fox game. But yeah, so thank you again, Lithium, so much for coming on. I really, really appreciate it.
Definitely.
And why don't you tell the people one last time where they can find you?
My name is Nintendo Collecting online. If you search Nintendo Collecting on YouTube or Facebook or Instagram, TikTok, I don't have much on there yet. Maybe I'll start posting more videos for YouTube. I kind of took a little bit of a hiatus for a little while. I had a lot going on in my life, various reasons, but I hope to be back. Now that I need a few more weeks so I can walk properly. I had ACL surgery recently, so I can't really walk. Making videos is tough, but I'd love to be doing this podcast. Thank you so much for having me on for one of the best games ever. Mario World is a masterclass. If anyone ever wants to get into coding video games, they should probably learn from Mario World. And it's over 30 years old. It's older than us probably. And if you've never played before, it's time to pick up a SNES controller and play.
Yeah, 100% agree.
Definitely.
Like I said, thank you so much for coming on. Everybody, please check out his channel, Nintendo Collecting on YouTube. He has an amazing collection. And honestly, dude, if you just start posting some quick clips of stuff that you have in your collection on TikTok, I'm sure you'll blow up there because you have some amazing stuff.
Well said. Time I do that. Yep. Check out the room tour. The room tour is the #1 video that I have for sure. It is a 4-hour long experience that you do not need to watch the entire thing. But if you watch the first few minutes, you get an idea of what the channel is all about and what the collection's all about.
Yep.
Cool,
so thanks again for coming on. And everybody, please check out Super Mario 64 with us this week. And we'll be joined by Lord Hoyle over on TikTok to talk about that game. So please come back next week as we talk about Super Mario 64. And everybody take care.
Nice. Peace.
See you.
Have a good week.